I appreciate everybody being here. Looking forward to this week's game here against Marshall Friday night. Marshall is 3-1. They had a game that was not rained out but canceled because of the weather with South Carolina. So, it's a really, really good football team. Historically, they've always played well at home. I think they've got over an 80% winning percentage at home. Doc Holliday is not only one of the best coaches in this conference, but he's one of the best coaches in this country. I have a lot of respect for Doc as a man and as a coach, and he's just done an excellent job at Marshall in the time that he's been there. They're always well coached, and they do a good job, and this year's no different. Marshall has got some very, very explosive players on both sides of the ball. They got one of the leading receivers, not only in this conference, Tyree Brady, but also in the country. He's one of the top receivers in the country. So, and he's got other good receivers around him. Their quarterback is a little bit different from what they've had the last couple years in Chase Litton. This guy can move around. He can run. Is very athletic. Throws the ball good. I think he's, after 4 games here this year, he's in the top 10 of the history of all Marshall quarterbacks after their first 4 games of playing. So he's really good. He's doing a good job. You can tell he gets better each week from a maturity standpoint, from a decision-making standpoint. Has done a good job. Their offensive line is good. They're athletic, and defensively, and their running backs are good too. So it's a very balanced offense. Defensively, we got some really good players. Their safeties are very active in the run game. They're going to play downhill. Their linebackers are good. They can run. Physical guys, and up front, they've done a good job also. They got some really good players. Their defensive end, B, has been out for a couple weeks. Came back against Western Kentucky last week and had 2 sacks. So their defense is really good. They're not giving up a whole lot of yards rushing. I think they're one of the top teams in the conference against rush defense. So they're really good defensively. They got a dynamic kickoff return guy. Is really, really good. He's a difference maker back there. So we've got to make sure we're cognizant and aware of him. We've got to do a good job of defending him. So, but this is it's a short week. Playing on a Friday night. Going up there to Marshall, having to travel there and everything. So just that within itself is going to present some problems that we've got to, not problems, but some different things that we've got to make sure that we handle as a team and as players individually and collectively this week in our preparation for them. So expect it to be a heck of a ball game, a heck of a challenge against a really good Marshall team.
Coach, playing on Friday, you have one less day to prepare. How does that kind of change things this week?
Sometimes those Friday night games, when you're at home, they don't present the same problems or same issues that you do when you have to travel because, we're going to have to give up Thursday as a travel day. We'll still get in a little bit of work Thursday before we get on the plane, but that always, and then, it presents a little bit of a, organizational issue that you have to prepare for. So other than it gives you one less day to get over your bumps and bruises from the previous game, you have to deal with that. But we've got a great plan in effect for it. And I think as long as our players do a good job of taking care of their bodies this week, getting as much treatment, staying off their legs as much as they can, I think we'll be fine.
Building on that short week, do you think it's more mental than physical in terms of trying to get ready for it?
No, I think, Louis, it's more physical. The mental part probably puts more pressure on coaches than it does players because, as a coach, you lose, a whole day of evaluating, your opponent. So I think that there's more pressure on coaches in their preparation than players.
You kind of mentioned Tyree Brady. How do you slow him down? Can you slow him down?
Well, I mean, he's a good player, and it's hard. Good players usually find a way to make plays throughout the course of a game. And, so we just got to make sure we do a good job of tackling in space, that we don't give up, big explosive plays to him because he has those capabilities of, taking a fast screen, a short ball, and turning it into a big ball. So just his athletic ability, his athleticism, you've just got to do a great job of with your eyes as a defender, and then we got to do a good job of tackling and wrapping up.
What makes it so tough to play in Huntington?
It's hard to get there for one, and that's always, you laugh, but places like that are hard to get to, makes it hard, the added part of the travel. And, and then plus they're, for a visiting team, it's going to be which is, kind of a good thing also. It's going to be a great crowd. It's going to be a lively crowd. It's going to be loud. They're going to be, welcoming us, with open arms. And, we've got to do a good job of mentally blocking all that out, not getting caught up in all that. And, and most teams play, I don't want to say play better, but play really good at home. And, that's why it's always been called a home field advantage, a home court advantage. It's hard to go on the road and win, no matter who you are and what conference you're in. So I think you throw all that in together, and Marshall has done a great job of, playing at home.
After a big win, an emotional win, how difficult is it to get them back off cloud nine and back down to earth and concentrating on the next game?
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, and our guys have put in a lot of effort for this entire season, and they put a lot of effort into the open date and then the week leading into the Florida Atlantic game from a practice and a preparation standpoint. And they deserve to have that success. They deserve for people to tell them, great job, because they played their tails off. They competed their tails off. They never gave up, and, won a big game over a really, really good football team. But you've got to be mature enough to understand that, enjoy that Saturday night, enjoy that Sunday morning. But when we got through with practice yesterday, it's on to Marshall now. And, like I said, they're not giving us 3 points, 7 points to go to Marshall just because we beat Florida Atlantic. It's every game, and that's the beauty of college football, is every game, is basically a playoff game. And for you want to achieve the goals that you've got set as a team, you've got to be mature enough and disciplined enough to flush it. And we flushed Florida Atlantic yesterday. And, it's time to move on to Marshall, because this is, this is a really good football team that we're playing. So, and then coupled with being a short week, coupled with, going on the road and playing up there, just adds to the dynamic of the importance of this game. So I'm not worried in the least a bit that, these guys aren't thinking about Florida Atlantic anymore. We've moved on, and we're focused 100% on Marshall.
Coach, with your struggles at Marshall, I mean, do you do anything differently as far as staying in a different hotel, wearing a different jersey, anything superstitious?
Play better. You know, hotels are limited. There ain't a whole lot of choices, you know, up there. We just got to play better. You know, I guess I've been there 3 times, and they've beat us all 3 times, and, you know, it's been basically the same story. We haven't played very good. They played better than us.
And you mentioned the challenges of playing on a Friday, but are you a fan of it getting more
No, I'm
days off next week? No?
Absolutely not. I don't like playing Friday. I don't have a choice, obviously, but I think Fridays should be, you know, dedicated to the high school game. And I understand why we play Friday games. I understand that. I understand the TV, all that. But, you know, if you ask me, you know, college football needs to be played on Thursday and Saturday.
Coach, you mentioned their front 7 on defense. They have 7 guys that have gotten a sack this year on their team. What do they do so well to get to the quarterback, and how do you combat that?
Well, I think the big thing is they're very athletic. They're fast. They put a lot of pressure on you. They're going to bring, you know, pressure with their inside guys. They're going to bring pressure with their outside guys. So it's just a matter of, you know, making sure we do a good job fundamentally. You know, you're not going to shut down a team like this completely because they're so talented. But we just have to do a good job fundamentally and make sure we communicate up front. We don't have any communication bust where somebody comes scot-free.
Javante said after the game on Saturday that he was going to be basically in the training room on Sunday because he was so sore. But how big was it actually having him out there, especially with how much he kind of means to the defense and the team overall?
Yeah, I think Javante's impact, when you look at it, you know, we have played a lot of new corners that haven't played much. You know, Scooby's played, but, you know, Chris Stamps hadn't played, OJ hadn't played, just JB hadn't played a whole bunch, Cordell, you know, it's first time. So we've played a lot of new people on that back end, and, you know, you had Reed early, then we lost him where he missed a couple games, you know, so now you're playing new guys on the outside, and you got new guys on, you know, deep on the back end at safety. And, you know, I just think from a confidence standpoint, what Javante, you know, does is being able to communicate and help guys, you know, if they don't see something, if they don't get lined up right, they don't see the signal right, you know, he's played a bunch of snaps now that he can get it communicated. And I think his presence from that standpoint helped immensely. You know, and then obviously, you know, just being a good football player, being back there, you know, he did a nice job in the game.